Pregame.com.
The Saints are at the Falcons for a Thursday night game. We got a good Thursday night one this
finally.
week. We're going to have VR give us his pick on this game, VR's free pick. We're looking at 3 with some juice attached. I'll let you explain that. The Falcons, of course, are the favorite. There's a rematch from a couple of weeks ago. VR, tell us who you like and why.
Yeah, bottom line, this line was 3.5 is where it opened at. We saw some sharp money come in on New Orleans. We know the professional bettors, what they like to do. They like to get the best of the key number 3. If it was 2.5, they would have laid it. When it was 3.5, they're going to take it. That's a given. With that said, the public's going to come in on New Orleans, from books that I spoke to. They're already getting New Orleans action.
Is that right?
Yeah,
okay.
So I think we're going to be able to get 3 minus 120, 125, and that's the side I like. I like Atlanta. Otherwise, I would have said maybe look at the money line because we know Matt Ryan doesn't lose at home. And if you're going to lay minus 190, 220 with CeCe Sabathia, then why not do it in football? That's what I always say. Keep your options open. People will lay that kind of chalk in baseball, but for some reason, they'll rather lay 3.5 in football than lay a price like 190 with a home team. I never understood that. With that said, this is going to get me in trouble. I'm a Saints fan.
I know you are.
I do a New Orleans ESPN show.
I was very surprised when I looked at the menu
I'm going to hear it. I'm going to hear it. I'm going to hear it.
You're doing a show tomorrow.
I'm in trouble.
Right?
I'm in trouble. But here's why, man. Look at that first game. It happened November 11th. And if you look, Saints won 31-27, but they won with a goal line stand at the end. Otherwise, Atlanta was going to win that game. They had first and goal from like the 1-yard line with time running out. But if you dig a little deeper, you'll see that Atlanta went 3 for 6 in the red zone. That's not normal for this team. They're a good team when they get in the red zone. And what happened was they weren't able to run the football. They only rushed for 46 yards. Mm-hmm. And against the Saints, that shouldn't happen. When you look at the New Orleans Saints, they're 32nd in the league in rushing yards allowed. No one allows more rushing yards than the New Orleans Saints. So I think Rodgers and Turner are going to have a much bigger game on the ground this time around. And just make it simple. I could go over the stats, how Atlanta's 10-1 and 5-0 at home. But if you just keep it simple by looking at what the line is, the first time these two played earlier in November, 3 weeks ago, Atlanta was a 1-point favorite in New Orleans.
Right.
New Orleans has the strongest home field advantage, bar none, even this year. I don't care that last year they went 8-0 against the spread, 8-0 straight up. I didn't adjust my home power rating much. Even if you give them 3.5, 4 points for being home, Atlanta was a 1-point favorite on the road in New Orleans. Now all of a sudden they're only a 3-point favorite at home. Yeah. The math doesn't add up.
Doesn't add up
at all. They should be closer to 8 or 9 points favorites. I have my true line Atlanta minus 6.5, maybe even 7. So for me, this is value. New Orleans, this is the team that I said no one wants to play a couple weeks ago. They got in their rhythm, and it looked like they were going to be dangerous. But when they lost last week to San Fran, I think now the mindset isn't what it was a few weeks ago. So I got to go with Atlanta, man. My heart's with the Saints, but my pocket's with Atlanta.
And let's hear from Chuck Edel.
And that game against San Fran, that was a physical game. So a little advantage for you there. Now a short week, for the Saints there. I've been going against Atlanta all year. I think they've been overvalued all season long. I think they're overrated. But now, all of a sudden, and I agree with VR here, now all of a sudden the line has kind of been adjusted, or maybe over-adjusted, where they might be some value going the Atlanta way. The first game they played, Ryan threw for 408 yards. Atlanta outgained the Saints, like you said, got stopped at the goal line. But it seems like now maybe the line being overvalued possibly here with the Saints.
Okay, we've talked about it. Let's go ahead and make it official.
Thursday night NFL, Saints at Atlanta. I'm a Saints fan, but I'm not going to be able to back them come Thursday. Don't be mad at me. I like Atlanta here. Lay the 3. Lay the 3.5 if you have to, if it's going to cost you too much. I really think this one should be closer to a touchdown, believe it or not. Just everything points Atlanta's way. This is one of the best home teams in all of football. Matt Ryan just doesn't lose at home. Saints coming off a tough loss against San Fran. Look for revenge here. Atlanta won't go 3-6 in the red zone this time around. Lay the points on Thursday. It is what it is.
Atlanta's been a little overrated this year. I got to tell you, New Orleans is still not a good team. They won some nice games. I give them credit. Their defense is absolutely horrible.
Yeah, it's dead last in everything.
Horrible. Horrible. Don't forget that. Okay, coming up next, I'm going to give you a free play on the Pac-12 championship game, a rematch from last week.
That burned me last week.
UCLA and Stanford, and you can see all our videos at pregame.tv.